The illusion of time, space-time versus time-space, and how it affects your reality. Interesting. What is time? How do we make sense of the illusion of time as it pertains to our reality, and can we alter it? Is it unlimited or is it finite? Time is a human construct, meaning we, humans living in a three-dimensional world, created it in order to structure our worlds and bring order to each day. Time would not be a realistic entity without space. So you could say the accurate term for time in the third dimension would actually be called space-time. And we'll develop that concept shortly, but let's first take a look at time as we understand it in its simplest form. Time is a dimension. It is the enigmatic dimension that weaves its way through the fabric of our existence in the third dimension and has fascinated scientists and whoever attempts to try to understand it since, well, time began. From the profound scientific principles that govern its behavior to the intricate role it plays in our daily lives, time is a fundamental concept that touches every aspect of our existence. It's important. In the realm of physics, time is considered one of the four fundamental dimensions alongside space. That would be length, width, and height. Together, they form space-time, a concept introduced by Albert Einstein in his theory of general relativity. According to Einstein, time is not a separate and independent entity, but is intimately entwined with space to create a unified fabric of space-time. Time, as described in the theory of relativity, is relative. It can dilate and contract depending on the relative motion of an observer and the gravitational field in which they are located. So, that would suggest that time is not linear, but instead malleable, and gravity would not exist as it is without it. This also means that time is not the universal constant that we generally perceive it to be. Instead, it is flexible and can vary depending on the conditions. The well-known twin paradox illustrates this concept. Suppose one twin embarks on a high-speed space journey while the other twin remains on Earth. When they reunite, the traveling twin will actually be younger than the one who stayed on Earth, due to the effects of time dilation at high velocities. This amazing revelation challenges our intuitive understanding of time and shows how deeply intertwined it is with the fabric of the universe. Beyond the realm of abstract physics, time plays a vital role in our daily lives. It serves as the metric against which we organize our existence, from scheduling daily routines to measuring the passing of the seasons. Time influences our social interactions, helping us to coordinate our activities with others and ensuring that the bus runs on schedule and our meetings start promptly. Time is also a precious commodity that we often wish we had more of. In our fast-paced world, we are constantly chasing time, trying to find ways to become more efficient and maximize productivity. Yet, it is critical to remember that time in the 3D reality is a finite resource. It is not unlimited, and how we manage it greatly impacts our well-being and success. The concept of time also deeply affects our emotional experiences. We cherish good moments, wishing they would last forever, and endure moments of pain, hoping that they will pass quickly. When we are truly in the eternal present moment, our perception of time can be distorted when we are engrossed in an engaging activity. Take, for example, oil painting. Like oil painting or surfing or something like that, making minutes feel like seconds, or when we are bored, making seconds feel like an eternity. Excuse me. We live in a three-dimensional universe, uni meaning one, where everything that exists is made up of people, things, places, and time. It is the dimension of particles and matter. It is the dimension of the five senses. In order to experience matter, we must use one or more of our five senses in order for the third dimensional, three-dimensional experience to occur. Through our senses, we experience things as form, structure, mass, and density. Imagine a football. While it has height, width, and depth, the football only exists to us because we can see it, smell, and touch it. If you lost your five senses, you would be incapable of experiencing any physical object because you would have no awareness of it. And since all we are is an awareness in the unified field, physical objects would no longer exist to you because in this 3D reality, you cannot experience objects without your five senses. Hope that makes sense. So let's first examine the reality of space-time. The realm of the third dimension is our known universe. We can call it space-time reality because neither can exist without the other. According to astrophysicists, there is an unlimited and infinite amount of space, even from our tiny perspective of the universe from here on Earth. So in the reality of space-time, space is eternal. But what about time? The way most of us experience time is by moving our bodies through time and space. If you were on the couch and wanted to use the restroom, it would take you time to move through space to get from the couch to the restroom. It began as a thought, you acted on that thought, and you experience time by moving from one point to another through space. You have created 2 points of consciousness, one, the couch, and two, the restroom. In doing so, you have also created separation between those 2 points of consciousness. To close the gap between those 2 points of consciousness, you moved your body through space, and that took time. The greater the space, the more time it will take, and conversely. The measurement of the time it takes an object to move through space is the foundation for Newtonian physics, or the classical mechanics, that we have been following for hundreds of years. It is the world of predictable outcomes, the known. If we know certain properties of an object like force, acceleration, direction, speed, and the distance traveled, we can make time-based predictions with predictable outcomes. When there is a separation between 2 points of consciousness, as you move from one point of consciousness to another point of consciousness, we'll say you are collapsing space. As you collapse space, you will experience time. That is space-time in the third dimension reality by old world Newtonian principles. Another way to look at this is through the duration of time. If you're going to cook a meal, it will take a predictable amount of time to prepare the meal to when you are finished cooking the meal. You're not really moving your body through space, but you are still experiencing time because when you started the meal to when you finished preparing the meal are in fact 2 separate points of consciousness, which create a separation in space. Whew. You stop cooking the meal, it will take more time to finish the task. In the reality of space-time, because our senses are required for an experience, we live in a material world where all objects are made out of matter. So you could say that, for the most part, humans are materialists. We use our senses to navigate space, so we place most of our attention on physical things such as people, objects, and places, all made of matter and they are all localized, meaning those objects occupy a position in space and time. This is where we step out of the universal reality of oneness, and separation occurs as we introduce more points of consciousness. If you live in, let's say, Los Angeles, and your close friend lives in San Diego, you feel separate from him or her, right? As a result, the feeling of separation creates certain limited emotions, such as anxiety, stress, and impatience. A good example of this is observing where you are presently in your life and where your dreams and goals exist as a reality in your future. There is separation in those 2 points, and you experience impatience, lack, or frustration as you become aware of the time and space it will take for you to realize your dreams and goals. So we can accurately say that in the Newtonian reality of space-time, in order to navigate the three-dimensional reality, we will need our 5 senses. The more we use our senses to define reality, the more we experience separation. Because most of this three-dimensional reality is sensory-based, space and time create the experience of separation from everyone, everything, every place, and everybody in every time. And all things material occupy one position in space and time, that is locality. Space-time is the physical Newtonian world based on knowns, predictable outcomes, and matter in the three-dimensional world in which we all live. This is the world made of infinite space, but limited time. This is the world of space-time. This is the reality most of us on Earth share as our only way to experience life in this universe. But is there another way to look at the concept of time? The quantum world, through time-space, tells us that there is. The quantum world is the non-physical world, an inverse reality based on unknowns, endless possibilities, and energy instead of matter, and the multidimensional multiverse where we also live concurrently. This is the world of time-space. Currently, quantum physics is the most credible science available to us, meaning with this proven concept, there is the possibility to leave the world of space-time and master the reality of time-space, a world where time is now infinite and space is limited. We will explore this world shortly, but let's first examine the effects on human behavior from living in space-time reality, the material world of the knowns, and predictability. Here we go. So in space-time, because we use our senses to determine physical reality, we identify as a body living in space and time, yet separate from everything in our environment. Over time, this interaction creates the experience of our identity, which turns into our personality. The type and quality of these interactions with our external environment creates memories, and these memories shape who we become and define our personalities. If the self is created from memories from the past, then memories are based on knowns. Therefore, most of our three-dimensional world is based on knowns. This is where most of us focus our attention. Material objects, people, places in our external environment, and so on. That makes us materialists. Not only have we become materialists living in this dimension, but we are also enslaved to and limited by it because we've defined ourselves as a body in this environment at specific times, and now our focus is more on matter and less on energy. As proven by scientists such as Einstein through quantum physics and Nikola Tesla and such, there is no such thing as matter. All that exists in the universe is energy, vibration, and frequency. From a quantum perspective, we are keeping all of our attention on the physical particle, which is the matter, instead of the immaterial wave of all possibilities, which is energy. Stop and imagine this for a moment. This is how we become consumed in this three-dimensional reality. Excuse me. Now let's look at the biological effects. So as materialists living in this space-time world of knowns, our daily experiences are dictated by separation we feel in our environment, which now leads to stress entering the equation. When stress occurs, our body begins to draw from the invisible electromagnetic field of energy that surrounds us to produce chemistry. The more stress, the more energy gets consumed, and the more chemicals produce, causing us to pay more attention on matter and the knowns and the known world. The more this energy field shrinks, we feel more like matter, much denser and less like energy, which is not natural. Now our frequency slows down and our bodies become more dense. Over time, this conditions our bodies more into survival mode and out of creation. Our bodies are designed to live in survival mode. Short term, but over time, all of our energy gets siphoned away from us, and this is where sickness and disease occurs. In survival, our focus narrows and converges on our body and whatever external threat there is in our environment, causing us to become preoccupied by the time between the moment of perceived danger and the moment we reach safety, both of which are points of consciousness. The more we experience stress, the more we feel separation. As our outer world now appears more real than our inner world, we increasingly become more addicted to someone or something in our external environment. The longer we live in this state, the more our brain moves into and stays into high beta brain waves, which switch on during highly charged emotional experiences. Staying in high beta brain waves for a prolonged period causes us to feel pain, anxiety, worry, fear, anger, judgment, impatience, aggression, and competition. As a result, our brain waves now become incoherent. We are now mostly living in survival, and over time, we are basically living in a self-fulfilling prophecy. Think about that. In the Newtonian 3D space-time reality, we are living in a world of knowns and predictability. We are living as a somebody with something, somewhere, in some time. The world of limited time. The world of survival. The more you are living in survival and using your senses to define reality, the more you experience separation from a new future. Between where you are presently as one point of consciousness and where you want to be as another point of consciousness lies a very long distance. There is also an obsession on how it's going to happen based on how you think and predict it should happen. Now, everything now is based on knowns, so there is no room for an unknown or new possibility in your life. You are trying to use matter to influence matter, which could take a very long time. Imagine the process of buying a house. You save the money, look for a house, get a loan, and then spend the next 30 years dragging your body back and forth to work through space, trying to pay it off. This all requires time, right? Eventually, you may get the house, but the more you live in survival, the more time it's going to take. Matter changing matter. And there is a distinct separation in space and time between where you are and where you want to be. Over time, As our separation grows, the feeling of lack begins to become a new continuous feeling. When we don't have the things we want, we experience lack. And lack and separation cause us to live in a state of duality and polarity. It's natural to want what we don't have. When we experience separation from our future desires, we think and dream of what we want and start taking actions in linear time to get them. If we are always broke, we want money. If we feel lonely, we want a relationship. Because of this experience of duality and separation, we are driven to create. And this is how we naturally evolve and grow towards our dreams. But if we are matter focused on matter, trying to influence matter, it's going to take a lot of time and energy. When we finally achieve our goal, the emotion we feel temporarily satiates that sense of lack. When we live in this state, we are waiting for something or someone outside of us to change how we feel inside, when it should be the opposite. When our dream or goal doesn't happen or is taken forever to come to fruition, we experience more lack because we feel even more separation from our creation. Now, our emotional state of lack, frustration, impatience, and separation is keeping our dreams at a distance, further increasing the time it will take for our creation to become a reality. Oof, that's a lot. So now let's take a look at the other concept of time-space. If the Newtonian laws are an outward expression of the physical material laws of space-time, a dimension where there is more space than time, we could say that the quantum laws are the opposite. The quantum is an inward expression of the laws of nature, an invisible field of information and energy that unifies everything material. The unified field. This immaterial field organizes, connects, and governs all the laws of nature. It is a dimension where there's more time than space. Time is eternal. In order to experience the reality of time-space, you would need to move from the world of the five senses to the worlds beyond the senses, to get beyond yourself or the self. In the material 3D world, the consciousness was to be somebody, right? Somebody, someone, something, somewhere, and in some time. Well, in the quantum world, it's the opposite. You will need to transcend who you are. When we take our attention off of our body, our environment, and time, we get beyond the self, living as a physical body, being someone as an identity, owning some things, living in some place at some time, and we become nobody, no one, no thing, no where, and in no time. Now we are moving our consciousness and awareness away from the material world of Newtonian physics and toward the immaterial world of the unified field. When we get beyond the self, we go from a narrow focus to an open focus. We go from having our attention on objects, people, places, things, particles, to our attention now is on space, energy, frequency, and information, waves. We leave the material world for the immaterial world. We leave the 3D Newtonian world, and now we enter the 5D quantum world. We leave the predictable world for the world of all possibilities, from space-time to time-space. In this new realm, there is no separation, duality, polarity, and locality. Now, there is a state of unity, oneness, wholeness, and non-locality. In the reality of time-space, you are in the multiverse, the realm of unknowns and unlimited possibilities. In this world, you are in the domain beyond the senses. Now, doesn't that seem like a better place to create the life you desire? So research shows that when we take our attention off of objects and matter and instead open our focus to energy and information, different parts of the brain work together in harmony. The result of this unification of the brain is what we feel is that we feel more whole. And when we do this properly, our heart begins to open, beat more rhythmically, and thus becomes more coherent. As our heart moves into coherence, so does our brain. Because our identity is now out of the way, we've gotten beyond our body and environment. By eliminating those things, our brain can now move into alpha and theta brainwave patterns, and we can connect with our autonomic nervous system, and its job is to restore order and balance, causing coherence and wholeness in our heart, brain, body, and our energy field. It is in this state where we begin to connect to the quantum or unified field. We are now stepping from the illusion of separation to the reality of oneness. In the quantum field, there is no separation between 2 points of consciousness. It is the domain of oneness or unity consciousness. Whereas in our 3D reality, space is infinite, in the quantum world, time is infinite. If time is eternal, it's no longer linear, meaning there is no separation of the past or the future. With no past or future, everything is happening now in this eternal present moment. Because time is now infinite in time-space, as we move through time, we experience space or spaces, the opposite of space-time. In the world of space-time, as we increase or decrease the speed with which we go from point A to point B, the time it takes to get there changes. So in the world of time-space, as we become aware of an increase or decrease in the speed of the frequency or the vibration of energy, we now can go from one space to another space or from one dimension to another dimension. In space-time, you experience the environment with your body, your senses, and time. And time appears linear because you are separate from objects, places, and people. In time-space, you experience this realm with your awareness, only as a consciousness, not as a body with 5 senses. This realm is beyond your senses and can only be accessed when you are totally in the eternal present moment. No past, no future, just one long now. Since your awareness is beyond the realm of matter and your attention is off matter, you can become aware of different frequencies all carrying information. And these frequencies allow you to access to other unknown dimensions. When we say that as you move through time, you experience space or spaces, that means all possible dimensions and all possible realities. That means all possible spaces or dimensions exist in infinite time. Got it? This is the unified field, the realm of all possibility, unknowns, and new potential realities, all of which exist in endless time, which is every time. So in the quantum world, we could say that if time is eternal, then more spaces can exist in that infinite time. And if we enlarged or made more time, we can fit more spaces in time. And if there is infinite time, then there are infinite spaces we can fit in time, which are endless possibilities, potential realities, dimensions, and experiences. Whew. Okay, so let's go back to the realm of space-time in the 3D Newtonian world. Well, there you are somebody, someone, something, somewhere, in some time, right? As you get beyond yourself and enter the door into the quantum, you will need to become nobody, no one, no thing, nowhere, and in no time. Meditation is a powerful tool for this. Now you are in the immaterial 5D reality of the unified field. And as you unfold deeper into it, you will become the consciousness of everybody, everyone, everything, everywhere, and in every time. In order for us to go from our known space-time 3D universe, a universe made up of matter where we experience duality and polarity, to the unknown time-space 5D multiverse, a place where there is no matter, but instead light, information, frequency, vibration, energy, and consciousness, we have to cross a bridge. That bridge is the speed of light. When we become pure consciousness and become nobody, no one, no thing, nowhere, in no time, we are crossing that threshold from matter to energy. When Einstein introduced the equation E equals mc squared in his theory of special relativity, for the first time in the history of science, he demonstrated from a mathematical standpoint that energy and matter are related. What converts matter to energy is the speed of light, which means anything material traveling faster than the speed of light leaves our 3D reality and turns into immaterial energy. The speed of light is the threshold for matter, or anything physical, to retain its form. No thing can travel faster than the speed of light, not even information. Anything traveling slower than the speed of light is going to take time. Therefore, the fourth dimension is time. Time is the nexus that connects the 3D world to the 5D world and beyond. Once something is traveling faster than the speed of light, there is no time or separation between 2 points of consciousness because every thing, material, now becomes energy. This is how you go from 3 dimensions to 5 dimensions, from a universe to a multiverse, from this dimension to all dimensions. This is the journey to oneness. As we collapse 2 points of consciousness, we experience less separation and more oneness and wholeness. When our consciousness merges with the consciousness of the unified field, as we move closer to it, we experience no time and no space. The more we live with our attention on the outer world, living as a somebody, owning something, somewhere in some time in the 3D reality, the more we experience separation and lack. As we move our attention away from the outer world and towards our inner world, into the eternal present moment, our consciousness aligns with the consciousness of the unified field. Now we are present with it. As we surrender deeper into the unified field as a consciousness, we experience less separation and lack and more oneness and wholeness. If there is no separation between 2 points of consciousness, then there is no space and no time, but instead all times, and all spaces, plural. Therefore, the more whole we feel and the less lack we experience, the more we feel like our future has already happened. Now we are no longer creating from duality, but from oneness. Everything starts from a conscious thought. As conscious thought slows down in frequency, it slows down in energy until ultimately it takes on form and becomes matter. At the frequency of the speed of light, the pattern of all matter is reflected as a template to become structure. Interesting. It is at the speed of light that energy divides into polarity or duality, and electrons, positrons, etc. now are become created. Above the speed of light, there are greater degrees of order that are reflected as greater degrees of wholeness. As we journey in consciousness from matter and get beyond ourselves, turning our attention inward toward the unified field, once we cross the plane of visible light, we become nobody, no one, no thing, nowhere, in no time. It is in this realm that we experience as an awareness other dimensions, other realities, and other possibilities. Since frequency carries information, and there are infinite frequencies in the quantum, we can experience other planes that exist out there. As you continue speeding up matter, you continue to experience greater degrees of wholeness, order, and love. The orderliness of this more coherent energy is carrying information, and that information is more and more love. If you continued speeding up matter even faster, eventually it would be vibrating so fast as a frequency that it would exist as a straight line instead of waves. Infinite frequencies exist in that line, which means infinite possibilities exist there as well. This is the 0 point field, or the point of singularity of the quantum. An omnipresent, ubiquitous field of information that exists as energy and frequency that is observing all of reality into order from a single point. We could call this the mind of God. Unity consciousness, source, energy, etc. This is the place where all potentials or possibilities exist as a thought, the ultimate source of a loving intelligence and an intelligent love that is observing all of this physical reality into form. Pretty deep. Therefore, let's just say the following is true. The greater the frequency we experience, the greater the energy. The greater the energy, the greater the information we have access to. The greater the information, the greater the consciousness. The greater the consciousness, the greater the mind. The greater the mind, the greater ability we have to affect matter. This is why Einstein said the field is the sole governing agency of the particle. Whew! That's a lot. So, what is time? Measurements. Time is an awe-inspiring concept that transcends its simple numerical form. From the intricate science of space-time, where time can warp and bend, to its practical role in our everyday lives. Time is the invisible thread that connects us to the universe. As we navigate our existence, it is essential to appreciate both the scientific and personal dimensions of time, recognizing its significance and relativity in our world. The distinctions between space-time and time-space further exemplify the depth and complexity of this fundamental aspect of our reality. Thanks for hanging in there, guys. I know that was a lot to process, but that is time. I hope you guys had the time.